This video will examine a number of moral traps or issues that can confuse some people when facing moral dilemmas. This will first start with examining a few things that don't necessarily fall under the category of morality, followed by a few logical issues that can arise. First off, morality is not mere the law. The law is informed on morality and one's morality is informed by the laws in their country. But they are not necessarily the same thing. To show this, firstly, there are non-moral or immoral laws. Laws that have nothing to do with morality. For example, a lot of zoning or parking regulations are usually immoral. They can have a moral element, for example, don't park in front of a hospital entrance, so that people who need help are not slowed down. But in some cases, if you are only allowed to park on one side of the street, it is not a moral question. There have also been immoral laws as well. For example, many countries had legalized slavery. If we say morality is just merely the law, then we are unable to say slavery was wrong, as it was legal at the time. However, most people will say slavery is always wrong, regardless of the law. Finally, there is the issue that laws change as you go from country to country. Is it really the case that morality knows these borders as well? Probably not. Morality is also not merely cultural differences. Like dress codes. Some cultures have different rules of dress. In the Netherlands, a lot of offices can be very informal, in terms of dressing. You don't need to wear a suit every day. Whereas in Japan it is expected that one regularly wears a suit. If I forgot to wear a suit while working in Japan, and show up in jeans, did I do something morally wrong? No, I just merely didn't abide by a cultural difference. Finally, morality is not purely your own religious belief. Again, this will greatly inform your morality, but most philosophers will not accept it is right because God says so as an answer. Consider the idea that the good is what God says. This means one of two things: God saying it is good makes it good. In which case, why are we discussing morality? Shouldn't we just read Scripture, even though Scripture is sometimes unclear? Or what most religious scholars say, God is telling us what is good. If this is the case, then morality is independent of God. So, we can come to conclusion without referring to God. Either way, while religion informs your morality, you can find reasons for your belief outside of referring to God. There are also a few issues when discussing morality that are important to remember. Firstly, there is the naturalistic fallacy. This one might not seem like a fallacy at first glance. In technical terms, it is the idea that one cannot derive an ought from an is. This means that just because something is natural doesn't mean it's good. If I say the sky is blue, therefore the sky ought to be blue, then I'm merely saying by the nature of the sky being blue means that it would be wrong for it to be another color. But this isn't the case. There is no reason that the sky needs to be blue. Or at the very least, you can't just jump from it as to it ought to be. In other words, nature is sort of immoral, so just because something is that way in nature, doesn't mean it ought to be that way.